Alright, what's going on everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today it's giveaway time. Look, I have two full bags here full of Roosters training kit from last season, and we are going to give all of it away to two lucky people. So what you got to do is you must be subscribed to the Chad Townsend YouTube channel. So if you're already subscribed, you will already go into the draw. If you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe now to enter. The next thing you have to do is that you have to comment on today's podcast. Drop us a comment, let us know that you are subscribed and that you are in the running for the giveaway. Now, I'll give you guys a quick sneak peek at what we got in here. Obviously, this one has my initials on the bag. So, some playing shorts, training clothes, polos, what else have we got in here? Training shorts as well. And then in the other bag, it's pretty much exactly the same. Oh, there's a bucket hat as well. Your playing socks. And then, look, I've got a heap of stuff that's still in the package. It hasn't even been worn yet. This one's basically full of, look, all of it. So there's two bags there. I'm going to pick two winners. All you need to do is be subscribed to the Chad Townsend YouTube channel and drop us a comment to let us know that you are subscribed, what you think of the podcast, whatever the comment you can decide. We're going to get into today's podcast. Today's episode should be an absolute ripper. See you guys soon. Thanks for your support.
We are back! Home of the prodigal son, young Chad Townsend. And Chad Townsend plays on, plays to the whistle, kicks away for Valentine home. Townsend, brilliant.
All right, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Chad Townsend Show. As always, the Chad Townsend Show is presented by BearBet. Make sure you head to the App Store, download the app today, sign up at the description below. Make sure you gamble responsibly, of course. Has all the best odds in sports, all your same-game multi options. Head to BearBet and create an account today. Look, we have a big show for you guys today. Obviously, at the top of the show, you would have seen the giveaway that we are doing are very exciting there. Make sure you follow those instructions to be in the running. We will announce that sometime next week and get those training bags out to two lucky people. We've got plenty to talk about. As I said, Eli Katoa in what's trending. Obviously, the devastating news, he will not be able to play in 2026. A little bit of stuff around Zach Lomax and Ryan Pappenhausen, as well as our 2025 NRL St. George Illawarra Dragons review. But before we get into any of that, I will bring in Victor. He's a starter every week. He's here again today on a Wednesday, Victor.
Glad to get the call up on a Wednesday. Yeah, it's different. Hey, we obviously filmed a little interview this morning. Won't say who.
Yes, we did film an interview. Well, we told the people, didn't we? We're here. The new chapter, the next chapter. We've got more content coming. So that's why we're trying to urge people to subscribe to the channel and get involved with the channel, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. But we're excited today, Victor.
Yeah, and it's a nice day out in the Shire.
It's a beautiful day. I actually went out east today. I had an appointment out in the east, so I went for a run down Clovelly, swim at the slab, 7Ks along the coast. Mate, I've had a cracker morning today. So I went run into appointment, into interview this morning with guest, straight into this podcast today.
How's that Clovelly Beach?
Beautiful.
I need to get down there.
Get down there. The slab's amazing. The slab's beautiful. The deep water you can just go swimming in. I'm going back there again. I absolutely loved it. Yeah, mate, let's move in. Let's go straight into it. What's trending today? What is the most trending topic today in the NRL?
Devastating news. Eli Katoa obviously ruled out for the entire 2026 season after needing brain surgery. Just crazy. Yeah, look, this is crazy. It is absolutely devastating. When the news broke about Eli Katoa being ruled out of the entire 2026 season, I was devastated, to be honest. I felt like a sense of anger. I put a tweet out last night on X, and it was like I deleted it because I was like, I'm kind of writing something here on emotion, and I kind of thought it wasn't a great idea. I was like, I'll leave it, I'll let it settle for a bit, I'll gather my thoughts, because that's usually my thought process around that. I don't want to speak kind of on emotion. Excuse me, my laptop's just bouncing off. And I was like, let me gather my thoughts a little bit. So I came back and revisited a couple hours later, but yeah, obviously it's just absolutely devastating. Look, Eli Katoa, to me, he was like the Storm's best player in the grand final.
He's been the Daily M second rower the past 2 years in a row. He has been one of the bright spots for the Melbourne Storm. And obviously now just to have him ruled out of a situation that, in my opinion, could have been preventable. And look, it's going to be absolutely crazy to see these findings from the NRL when their report comes out. Because obviously there's no doubt they would have been doing their due diligence around the process of what happened. He got knocked out in the warm-up. He had an unfortunate collision with Lehigh Hopewadi, and it didn't look good. And obviously straight away there's footage getting shown to the broadcaster, but I don't know if anyone on the Tongan medical team saw that or said something, or Eli Katoa was saying he's okay or whatever, but then he would obviously then go onto the field, and then once you've been concussed, you're more susceptible to more head knocks. And then obviously he had 2 more, then had a seizure on the sideline, and then would go off and have emergency brain surgery in hospital. Man, it just makes me so sad and a little bit angry, to be honest, because this is a game that is just, it's the best game in the world. And when we hear of situations like this where, you know, the player has been put in jeopardy, and his career's in jeopardy now. You know what I mean? And there's, like, I was listening to SEN radio this morning, and, you know, there's talk of, like, if Ellie can't make a full return to play, there's a potential lawsuit here. Like, there is a potential lawsuit for him, you know, distress, you know, not being able to earn money in the future. All this stuff comes into play. And like I said, Eli Katoa, one of the elite players in the competition. And at the moment, we've just heard the great news that he's back in Melbourne and back home after being in an Auckland hospital. And the Melbourne Storm CEO had this to say this morning on SEN radio.
First of all, how is Ellie right now?
Yeah, he's going okay. He's improving every day, which is obviously the main thing. He was able to stabilise from last week, being in hospital in Auckland. We got him home over the weekend. Our club doctor and director of football, Frank Panisi, flew over to help him and his partner return to Melbourne, and then we were able to get him into a Melbourne hospital for further tests to see specialists and neurospecialists, and then, yeah, thankfully we're able to get him home, which is good. So he's now recovering at home, and yeah, he's got a long road ahead, but pleasingly he is in a stable condition and improving every day.
Yeah, well, that's obviously very, very positive news that he's back home. He's in a stable condition and he's, you know, improving every day. I think you can't help but, you know, feel for the Melbourne Storm as well, who obviously, no fault of their own, have just lost probably one of their top 3 best players in their team due to him playing representative football. Like, it is absolutely, absolutely devastating. I think as well, from my understanding, they'll get some dispensation for cap relief. So a similar situation kind of happened with the Dragons a couple of years ago when Cody Ramsey went through some sickness and some illness, and the Dragons were provided an extra roster spot and had his salary kept outside the salary cap so they could bring someone in, but they could still look after him as a player. So I don't know how this whole situation is gonna work, but from obviously listening to the Storm CEO this morning, it sounds like they will be able to apply for some sort of relief from the cap for Eli Katoa's salary, and also position to either bring someone in, recruit someone, but they sort of spoke about, you know, whether they fill that position in-house or they go to the market. But obviously the market at the moment is very much limited with regards to, you know, contracted players for next year and availability and, you know, filling in those shoes, because Eli Katoa, like I said, he's a top 3 player at the Melbourne Storm, Victor.
He's the best back row in the game at the moment.
Best back row in the game. And you see the way that Eli Katoa competes on these kicks. Man, at the back end of the year, he was leaving his right edge, going over to the left. Munster would put a kick up on the left side of the field. He would go up, compete, catch the ball, and put it down and score when he's completely on the wrong side of the field, just wants to go in and get involved in the game. And that try he scored in the grand final was another phenomenal moment of Eli Katoa. And the rise of Eli Katoa has been absolutely incredible, you know, since he left the Warriors and joined the Storm. And that's just, you see that from the Storm. You know, the Storm bring in guys, they give them an opportunity, the coaching, the environment, and they just take them to the next level. So, look, it's absolutely devastating for Eli Katoa and his family. I just want to say that I'm really praying for Eli Katoa to make a full recovery. I would absolutely love to see him make a full recovery and be able to return to football activities, to full contact, to playing games, to doing what he absolutely loves. That's the purpose of his life, to be a rugby league player. He would do everything in his life to get the best out of his career. Now that he's unable to do that, at least for the next 12 months, like mentally, it would be obviously very difficult. And I heard as well on the radio that, Lehigh Hopewadi as well, he's having a bit of a tough time, obviously, because he was involved in the situation, obviously putting a fair bit of pressure on himself of what was, an unfortunate circumstance.
Yeah, I was just about to bring that up. Like, I feel sorry for Lehigh as well.
Definitely
put under this pressure, because Ellie should never have been able to take that field. They didn't even do a pre-game HIA for Ellie. And whether they saw the footage of it or not, if you see a player on the ground concussed or knocked out, you have to do an HIA. So I feel really sorry for Lehigh, because it's, if there was a HIA that happened pre-game, I don't think Ellie would have played.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think, obviously, I hope Lehigh Hopewadi's okay, because you do understand the thoughts he might have in, obviously, this whole situation, when it's definitely obviously not his fault, but obviously they would be really good mates, and obviously the sad news that he's unable to play. But you're right, Victor, with regards to the HIA, like we saw the highlights on TV. So I don't know if they were unable to see those highlights, and I don't know how long Eli Katoa was on the ground for as well. Like, if he was on the ground for like a long time, then he got up. Obviously, there's the 15-second rule in a game, but like the only replay we actually saw was like the actual collision, and the collision was far out. It was a big collision. And then the next thing that we saw on TV after or during the game was Ellie sitting on the bench, and if you just read his lips, I'm effed, eh? That's what he said. And then after that, obviously, he's on a Medicab, and then next minute he's in hospital. So look, it's absolutely devastating. I think this will be a line in the sand moment for the NRL with regards to some changes that potentially will come in. Like I said earlier, it will be interesting to find out how or what these findings are and who's accountable for this. Because you don't want to point fingers. You don't want to say it was this person's fault or this person's fault without actual facts of like a report. And obviously that will come out soon. But what I will say is I dare say someone's going to be accountable for what's going on, because they should be.
Yep.
They should be. And like I said earlier, thoughts and prayers with Ellie at this stage. Let's hope he can make a full recovery. Victor, let's move on. What do we got next?
Next up, Ryan Pappenhausen and Zach Lomax's agent pulls out of contract negotiations with R360. Admits he's advising some of his clients, including Lomax and Pappenhausen, to pursue opportunities with R360, but given the introduction of the NRL's 10-year ban, he can no longer represent them in that space.
Wow, that is pretty significant news.
Code Sports.
By Code Sports today. Wow. The quote there from Schifcofske, he can no longer represent them in that space. So, yeah, wow. Look, interesting to sort of make that decision after they've been released or, got their releases from their current contracts, especially if Lomax had 3 years on about $800K, to come. So I don't know whether these two players potentially go to another agent or what that looks like. Obviously, the money that is getting spoken about is just off the charts. But I guess, after seeing the Peter V'landys interview on Channel 7 yesterday, obviously he had some very strong thoughts around, telling players not to risk their careers by going over there, and what is, a league that doesn't have, I guess, the same standards as other leagues around the globe. V'landys would also go on to say that, they trade with leagues like, French rugby or Japanese rugby or whatever it may be, and the NRL has no issues with players going there, but they've got a serious issue with players going to R360, hence, the imposed 10-year ban. But as we've said before, look, if the money is what the money has been spoken about with regards to millions of dollars per season for 10-game seasons, like I've said, I can't begrudge players for going and getting paid for a couple of years' work. You know what I mean? They could get paid over the course of 2 or 3 years what they could get in 6 or 7 years in the NRL and do half the work. So, look, obviously really, really a crazy developments happening from Clinton Schifcofske and the Pappenhausen-Lomax situations. Stay on to that.
Yeah,
because,
this will be an interesting one.
You know, the thing is as well with R360, I haven't necessarily seen many rugby union players. Have they announced any signings at the moment, or is it's all just talk? Because it is. Let's not forget, it is the comp doesn't start till next October.
Is there a logo or something for this? Like, have they even done any branding for this? Because I can't find anywhere of anything R360.
No R360 logo.
I mean, know what teams are going to be on there? Like,
does it sound similar to Live Golf?
It's very Live Golfy.
It's very Live Golfy,
but. At least Live Golf had a logo. You know?
Yeah, Live does have a logo.
Like, I couldn't even find anything on this. So, look.
Yeah. And obviously, Payne Haas, you know, updated with him. He's saying that he is, or reports are saying that he's more likely leaning towards staying in the NRL, which would be fantastic for NRL fans, Broncos fans, because you just know what he's done already as a 25-year-old front rower, best in the game, what he's going to do over the next 5 years to when he gets to 30, you know what I mean? And he might slow down at 30. I don't know. That's because he's just had 10 years of playing in the front row. But, man, he has probably had a Hall of Fame career.
Yep. I think I saw a really good point as well being made that we've had players defer to union before, like Israel Folau, Sailor. Like, players will go, but the game will still go on. I think we mentioned that on Monday. It's like,
yeah, definitely. It's a good point. You know what I mean? Like, it's just how professional sport is. Like, you don't own any jersey. Like, you're a caretaker of the jersey, and you have to leave it in a better place than when you got it. Like, that's the case. That's the meaning of, you know, being the caretaker. You look after the jersey, then you pass it on to someone else, the next person. So, look, obviously some really, really interesting developments happening at the moment in the NRL. Even though it is November and there's no games, it's the off-season, but look, there's still plenty to talk about. So if you're enjoying the channel, please make sure you do subscribe. Let's move into the main part of today's podcast, and we are doing 2025 season reviews. So the other day we did the Titans review. Today we are looking at the St. George Illawarra Dragons. Their 2025 snapshot for their season finished in 15th position on the ladder for the Dragons, so third last. So not a great year for the Dragons. Obviously, you know, when I look at the Dragons holistically as a year, my first thoughts are great youngsters and had a lot of injuries. So obviously, you know, in a bit of a transition phase under Shane Flanagan, they spent 1 week inside the top 8 in 2025, and that was round 13. The rest of the season, they were pretty much outside the top 8, and they went their last 5 games, they won 1 game and lost 4. So they were 1-4 in their last 5 games. They had 8 wins, 16 losses for the Dragons, 498 points for, which is an average of 20 points. So on average, they are scoring 20 points per game, which puts them in 14th position for their attack. So their attack needs a bit of work, 14th in the league. Obviously not one of the most high-scoring attacks in the competition. Probably, I think, need to tweak their attack a little bit, and I think no doubt they will with some of the additions to their coaching staff with Michael Ennis on board for next year. We'll get into that down the line with the previews post-Christmas. But, yeah, they need to make some changes. They need to get Val Holmes more ball. They need to get him on some more plays, bringing him back under, skipping across tired defenders or just getting him some ball. Gutho's numbers were pretty fantastic, I thought, over the course of the season. The veteran fullback was his first year in charge. at the fullback and one of the co-captains for the Dragons alongside Damien Cook. And look, his attacking stats were by far the stat leader for the Dragons. So he was kind of their bright spark in attack. Gutho had the most try assists, line break assists, all that stuff. Obviously, Gutho is just full of effort. I mean, we've already seen some of the highlights of him running up the hill that they run down in Wollongong. It looks absolutely crazy. I saw that he was running up the hill and someone's filming him, someone from the Dragons, and they were like, "How you feeling?" He's like, light work. And he didn't even look tired. And everything Val says about him is just super fit. So, yeah, that's the stuff. You know what you're going to get with Gutho, and it's all effort. We may see Gutho move to another position, I think, maybe next year.
It's a big call.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if he'll stay at fullback. I mean, we'll see. We'll see how obviously the season plays out. They've obviously got to find someone within their squad who, is better than Gutho and more consistent, which is a tough thing to do with the amount of effort that Gutho has. Let's look at their defense. 628 points against for an average of 26 points per game puts them in 14th position. So the 14th, 14th on defense. So still got a fair bit of work around their defense as well. I think especially their defense in the middle. I saw a lot of tries from the Dragons in 2025 where teams were coming through the teeth of them through the middle, and you could just sense a bit of frustration around that. So I think that's a big improvement for them, and I've got no doubt their coaching staff, which look, I love the Dragons coaching staff. I'm a big fan of Dean Young. I love what Dean Young stands for and how he is as a coach. Obviously spent a lot of time with Shane Flanagan. Their addition of Michael Ennis, I think there's a lot of potential for the Dragons. I don't want to keep talking about 2026, but I just think I know what Dean Young will be doing this preseason, and he'll be making the Dragons tackle, and defense. That'll be their focus in the off season. Let's have a more detailed look at the snapshot of the season. Lost some close games early in the season that they probably didn't manage as well as they should have. Obviously, Lockie Ilias played the first, I think, 6 or 7 games, then was out of the team. Like and King Tongia went in, and then Lockie didn't really get much of a look in for the rest of the season. As well, they had some injuries to Dylan Egan, Toby and Ryan Couchman, shoulder and knee injuries. Obviously, Val Holmes, shoulder surgery. Tui Pelotu had his hamstring issues. Nathan Lawson, Liz Frank issue. So they had their fair share of injuries, the Dragons, as I mentioned off the top, which is, you don't want to necessarily use that as an excuse, but it's also, the best teams have that depth and have those guys that can come in and do a job. But a lot of those injuries I just mentioned were long-term and guys having to have season-ending, surgeries, which does sort of, like I said, it does set you back a little bit, but, good teams are able to manage that next man up. Victor, you got anything to add there?
Yeah, I just wanted to point out, the only worried spot with this Dragons team for me is how they finish the season.
Yeah, when you look at a team like Parramatta, for example.
Or Manly.
Yeah.
Sorry, not Manly. Tigers. No, sorry, Rabbitohs.
So Parramatta went 4-1 in their last 5 games. You know what I mean? And then you almost take that momentum into the next season. But it was just like, I think with the Dragons going 1-4 in their last 5 games, it was like, we're at a point now where we've got a stack of injuries. We're just bleeding some guys. There's more guys making their debuts, and it's like, everyone's getting their debut. You know what I mean? It does make things a bit harder with cohesion and obviously quality at that stage of the year when everyone's, fatigued, you can't make the 8. People probably aren't putting as much effort in. They want the season to be over, and it's just like, let's just get to next year. That's how they would have been feeling. So, yeah, that's a bit of context there. Let's have a look at some bright spots for the St. George Illawarra Dragons. Look, I'm optimistic about the Dragons' future, and if I'm a Dragons fan, I know you guys have had probably a long time of heartache and haven't made the finals since 2018, I believe. But the future looks bright. Some of these future superstars in the making, I feel. Some of the names that come to mind here: Dylan Egan, Hamish Stewart, the Couchman boys, Pacifica Tonga, Halangahu, Like, I really, really like the looks of these guys. They had a really successful season in New South Wales Cup this year, making the grand final against the Warriors. A lot of these guys have made all the junior rep teams and the junior rep sides, coming up through the grades, whether it's like the New South Wales or Queensland under 19s or whatever it may be. And I like the look of him. I like the look of Halangahu. I think he's athletic. He's got great feet. Hamish Stewart, he came to our golf day, Players Golf Club day. He's quite tall, actually. Quite tall in stature. Obviously, Pacific Tonga as well. Big boy in the middle. He scored some nice tries close to the line at the back end of the year. And then, the work rate with the Couchmans, everything you hear about those guys is they act and behave like veteran NRL players when they're just, still really, really young in their careers. So, obviously the news this year, Shane Flanagan re-signed long-term for the Dragons. Ben Crai's been moved into a role. He previously sat on the board. I think he's something to do with the club in management at the moment. They are building a centre of excellence down in Wollongong, which looks fantastic. I think that's due to be completed sometime next year. But I guess as a whole snapshot for the Dragons, look, I think they're in a phase of, development and transition. Obviously, Flano is in there. They've made some changes. The guys have had their debuts. They've had their taste of NRL. They know what it's like. Now it's like we need to step up next year. And do I think they can contend for the 8? I do. I do think they can contend. It'll take a big season. Like, it'll take a good season for them to get there. But I think I need to see a little bit more for them to say they're in my top 8. Like, I couldn't stand here right now and say I've got the Dragons in the top 8 next year. But I do think they've got improvement in them. And I think the following year may be the year where it's like, hey, we're a genuine top 8 chance for the following season. So, obviously, as well, they've signed Daniel Atkinson. He'll go into the halves there, whether he plays 6 or 7, not sure. We'll get into those previews. Like I said, we've got 2026 season previews coming up after Christmas on the schedule. But anything else to add there before we sort of wrap up the Dragons review, Victor?
Not really. I'm just interested to see your take on their halves pairing, because obviously they had Flano and then Lockie Ellis to start the season, and then they shifted towards King Tongia and Flano.
Yep.
Did you think that was the play? Do you think that made much of an effect at all?
Yeah, look, I thought Lockie was probably a little bit hard done by, if I'm honest. I thought, Lockie's still relatively young in his career. I think he's only played 60 games in the NRL. So I still think the finished product of Lockie, he's not at the finished product yet. He's still got a lot of learning and development to go. He's obviously signed with the Titans now. I would have liked to have seen him back in first grade at some stage during the year. I just think with King Tongia, I like King Tongia. His attack is great. He's very crafty, very creative. Some of his defense, I thought, wasn't up to the standard of NRL. Some of his missed tackles that conceded line breaks were pretty soft, if I'm honest with you. As a half, you're not noted for your defense, but you kind of got to throw yourself in front. And if you go in as hard as you can, you get bumped off. Like, that's going to happen every now and then. But you can't be conceding tries and line breaks, on a consistent basis. And I thought his defense probably got to a stage where Flano could have made a change and put Lockie Ilias back in there, because you hear about the form of Lockie in New South Wales Cup. You know what I mean? I saw it all over Instagram and whatever. Obviously, it's a much different level, but that's all you can do. You can go back to New South Wales Cup and play well, put your best foot forward. And I don't know if, what was happening behind the scenes or whatever, but yeah, I just thought that it might have been interesting to put Lockie back in to give him a chance at the back end of the year.
Last one. Talk to me on Moses Sully. I think this guy should be performing way better than he is. Has potential to be top 10 center in the comp with like his build and, his speed. Do you think he is underperforming?
100%. I think Moses Sully scored 1 try this season. Just get it, see if you can find it. Moses Sully is one of the most damaging, destructive ball players in the competition. But there was one game, I can't remember which game it was I was watching this year, and early in the game, Sully got the ball and got involved straight away. And it was almost like someone during the week, a coach or something, got into his ear and said, you need to touch the ball early and get involved in the game. And I think I spoke before about the Dragons getting more ball to Valentine Holmes. You need to get Sully some more ball as well, but he needs to get more touches in the game. Like it almost looks like he's just, I don't know, not interested or not doesn't want to go in there and get involved. I really rate Moses Sully as a ball carrier. He's so hard to handle. And I was right. 2025, he scored 1 try. So look, the previous year, 2024, he scored 3 tries. 2024, he scored 3 tries. 2023, he scored 2 tries. His most tries in a season was 6 for Manly in 2019. So look, I just think there's plays there that could be made up for around the try line to get Moses Sully one-on-one with defenders, isolated and too big, too strong, back on the angle, run over, score a try. Let's go. I'm him. But I don't think he's playing to his potential at the moment. I think he's got more in him, and that's going to be up to the Dragons to get that out of him.
Yep.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So that's it. That's our Dragons wrap and what's trending for today. Please make sure you do subscribe to the channel. It is greatly appreciated. Drop us a comment. Make sure you enter the competition that we've got running. All you need to do is be subscribed to the channel and drop a comment down below on today's podcast, and we'll give away both those bags to 2 lucky winners. And we'll see you guys on the next episode. Let's go.